is Koby Martin. I'm an illustrator, animator, and painter. I started painting when I was 3 years old, and it just everything just progressed from there. But I don't think age is a factor in terms of creativity. If you are consistent and very persistent with it, I think you would create your own future, and the doors will open up for you as long as you believe in what you're creating, and knowing that regardless of whatever anyone's opinions about it, you're still gonna get to wherever you want to be. Basically, on a regular day, I'm always thinking about ideas. I'm always thinking about how to put themes and colors and composition of images together. So I'm always thinking about new ideas. I'm always thinking about how different ways of creating things. I'm always thinking about how to different styles of animating. Do you know what I mean? So on a regular day, when I just wake up, straight to my laptop, check out a couple of emails if I got any, and then start illustrating, start creating. Do you know what I mean? So there's not necessarily a fixed way to how I do things. Sometimes it could just be straight to illustrating and painting, or just checking emails. Or how I usually take breaks is when I sometimes play video games and stuff. But on a regular day, I'm always just banging out work, just being productive, and just creating content. Being an entrepreneur has taught me about self-belief. That's the key thing that is taught me, in terms of believing in yourself and believing in whatever you create, knowing that there are people that won't see that the vision God has given you. So at the end of the day, for me, it's taught me about believing in myself, most importantly, and I never knew I was hardworking, because when I was a child, I was always lazy and sluggish when it came to academics, but once I found my niche in terms of being an artist, and I put my heart into it, and I put my focus into it, it never seemed like a job. So me working hard, it was more like a hobby and an enjoyment process for me, other than anything else. So I'll say, yeah, the key thing about it is that it's taught me to believe in myself. It's taught me to be hardworking and to stay focused at the end of the day. That's what I'll say. The best song that describes my work ethic, I would say, is Wale featuring Meek Mill and Rick Ross, and the song is called Ambition.
Now I move with aggression, use my mind as a weapon, cause chances are never given, they took them like interceptions. So throw that pass, I'll be the cornerback. Me and Lauren, MMG gon' bring that Warner back.
My ambition. Easy to dream a dream, though it's harder to live it. They gon' love me for my ambition.
To me, having a work ethic is very important, because I believe as a creative, you should always have content. You should always have new stuff, not even to show, but build on what you're not yet going to put out. So for example, if I'm to show someone my work today, and in the next 2 weeks they ask me, oh, what have you got? Do you know what I mean? You always have something to show, something new and exciting to give to your audience. Do you know what I mean? So work ethic is very, very, very highly important. On a regular day, I do back to back. I try to do at least 3 paintings, obviously taking healthy breaks, but in a day I try to knock down 3 or 4 paintings at least, just so to keep my creative juices running, and to keep my mind, I'll say, focused on the direction I want to go, if that makes sense. I was a goofy child. I was very goofy. I was a creative one as well, and I was an academic. Now I was far from academic. I was the one who, I was literally a class clown. I would make people laugh. I wasn't necessarily serious when it came to academics, because I just couldn't catch up with it. But when it came to the creative side, in terms of drawing and painting classes, or the visual art class sessions, I would bang it out, and that's how I was finding out more about myself. So, being a child at heart, yes, I'm a big child at heart. I'm the biggest child at heart you ever know. And I think it's very important, because at the end of the day, kids have no sense of limitation. Theirs is to go out there and create their own environment and be in their own little bubble. So, having that sense of being a kid at heart is very, very, I think as a creator, is very important. For example, look at Pharrell, look at Tyler the Creator. You can sense that they are a child at heart, like in terms of their creativity, in terms of their styles and the way they put out stuff, like music. For example, like I said, Pharrell, look at the song Happy. Do you know what I mean? It won't necessarily, it doesn't necessarily seem like, oh, okay, do you know what I mean? Like, it's got that in tune with it. But when you listen to it, it actually gives you that vibe that, this guy was probably a child's mind when he created that. Do you know what I mean? And when you listen to that song, it gives you that next feeling of joy. So being a child at heart is, as a creative, or regardless of whatever profession you're in, I think is very, very important.
Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do.
The first step I took is self-belief. I came to understanding within myself that I need to believe in myself. And if I believe in myself, it will have a ripple effect, and other people would build off that wave. Because what's the point in creating something you don't have no confidence in? And what's the point of creating something you're not satisfied in when you put it out? So for me, I came to a standing point and decided that I don't care what people think about my work. I don't care if they like it or not. I don't care what they say about it. I don't care if they say he's always doing it in the same medium, in the same style. I do what I want. And once I came to that understanding of what self-belief meant, everything had a rippling effect. So, that caused people to jump onto my wave and be like, yo, who is this guy? Where is he from? That caused people to find who I was. Like I said earlier on, like the creation will force the audience to find the creator. So at the end of the day, if your work is really, really good, it will speak for itself. You don't have to do no promo. You don't have to do nothing necessarily. Coming back to music, look at J. Cole when he dropped Forest Hill Drive. He didn't do no promo. He didn't do nothing. He just dropped it, and people jumped onto the wave. And right now the album is platinum, double platinum. So at the end of the day, it's all about self-belief. You don't jump on the wave. Don't jump on the trend. Believe in yourself. Believe, like you girls say, believe in your slay. So at the end of the day, do you. Do you know what I mean? Don't do what's trendy and what's fashionable and what's popping out there. It will always die out. Do you know what I mean? But if you're in your own lane and you're doing your own thing and you're focused and then you believe in yourself, your wave can never die out if you started your wave. Do you know what I mean? So for me, that's how I think has enabled me to get to where I am. And I'm not going to deny the fact that I'm nothing without Jesus Christ. I'm nothing without God. It's by the grace of God that I am where I am. God took me from where I was and put me here. But obviously I had to do my part. God helps those who help themselves. So at the end of the day, if you have a sense of self-belief and you believe in yourself and you believe in your craft and you believe that, there's a vision and there's a place where you need to be, but nothing can stop you. So for me, that's how it's working for me, and that's how it's always going to be. Having a team is important, but like, having a team is important, but then again, you need to know that your team is a reflection of yourself. If you're not given that vibe that they need to push themselves, then they're gonna be all sluggish just like you are. So if you're being sluggish with your work ethic, you're being, you're not telling them how to do it and what to do and how you want it. But they're gonna do it how they want it, because at the end of the day, it's not necessarily their company. You've hired them to, and they're taking instructions from you. So having a team, it is important. But for me, I don't necessarily, I wouldn't say I have a team. I do have people, by the grace of God. God has connected me with the right people that believe in my dream and that, have helped me to get to where I am at the end of the day. Just for example, as I am an artist, I'm a reflection of my work. When people see my work, they know, they go, okay, what was he thinking when he was doing this? Or where was his mind? What zone was he in when he created these pieces? So, your team is a reflection of you, the individual. So having a team, it could be detrimental to whatever you want to do, or it could be helpful at the end of the day. My moment of wonder was when my parents sent me to the UK to pursue art. I was meant to go to university in Ghana, and I was denied admission because I didn't have the required academic grades. But my visual grades, my creative grades were very strong, but they failed to realize that. So having my parents to see that within me and know that I have a passion for art and send me to the UK just to study it was the it for me, So when I came to the UK and I studied illustration and animation as my degree, and my dad saw my passion for it, and he even forced me. He told me, look, I want you to do your masters. And I did my masters in 3D animation. Just having the support from my parents, because they paid for my tuition fee, they paid for my accommodation fees, they paid for my flights to the country, they literally paid for everything. So having them invest in me was just it for me. I just made up my mind, like, look, they've done so much for me, I want to do or even surpass what they've done for me. So for me, it was just, down to business. Like, you're either doing this or you're gonna get a job. And for me, it was do or die, and like 50 would say, get rich or die trying. But for me, that was it. For just my parents believing in me and picking me up from Ghana and sending me here and say, come and do art. You don't necessarily have African parents supporting you, bro. Most African parents want you to be, doctors, bankers, teachers, all that. But for me, I was blessed and fortunate to have my parents believe in me and say, come to the UK, come and do art. And when I started off being an artist, it didn't just shoot up like that. Do you know what I mean? I didn't just, Disturbing London didn't just hear about me. Krypton Conan didn't just hear about me. No, it starts gradually, So the point is from the point from where you start to where you meant to get to. But at the end of the day, I realized that people always give up in between, and that's what I think sets me apart from them. There were always difficult times. Like, for example, my dad passed away whilst I was working on Krypton Conan's album. I was in a hospital at the same time my dad was in a hospital, and when I came out of the operation, I realized I heard my dad had died, but I still had to work on Krypton Conan's album, and I was designing the album from the hospital bed. Do you know what I mean? So my mom always tells me, if you're going to be great, be prepared to go through some shit. Like, be prepared to go through difficulties and challenges. And challenges are a blessing. Challenges bring out growth. Challenges bring out your potential. And once you realize your potential, you realize that, I had this all this time. Like, do you know what I mean? Because if you want to know your true potential, and I think I tweeted about this sometime, but if you want to know your true potential and you want to know, you want to see growth, you need to deliberately put yourself in challenges that people will usually avoid. And that's how you're going to grow. But if you're always in your comfort zone, trust me, you'll always be there. You'll be questioning yourself as to why you are not seeing anything productive happening. It's because you are used to the same routine. You need to, change despises comfort. So once you realize that, once you get used to change, you see growth. And once you see growth, you see potential, and then success comes. Do you know what I mean? So what I would say to you is, with preparation and hunger comes success. Do you know what I mean? You being there and expecting people to come to you, it's not going to happen. You have to force yourself onto people. You have to create the door and walk through it. And then people will hear about you, and then people will know about you, and then you're building yourself, and then before you know, you're there. But for me, there's never a there. Do you know what I mean? There's never I have made it. Do you know what I mean? Because there's always glass ceilings, and you have to keep breaking those glass ceilings and keep going. Do you know what I mean? Because as long as you've got air in your lungs and you're breathing, for me, what I always tell myself is maximum creative expression. As long as I'm breathing, I'm God's vessel to express myself, to express God's thoughts through this gift that He has given me. So I need to keep going. So for me, that's just what it is. Letting go of fear. You know what, to be honest with you, I've never feared nothing. Because after I was in that operation room, I didn't think I was gonna come out alive. And when I came out of the operation room and I realized I was breathing and I was alive, and I was told that my dad had passed away, I let go of fear. I knew the value of life, and I told myself I can't be living with fear. I can't be living with uncertainty of not knowing how this is going to turn out, how this is going to turn out, how if I invest money in this, I'm going to go, I'm not going to have the money back. Right now I know no fear, I know no boundaries. Your no doesn't stop me. Your opinions doesn't stop me to create. We can't allow you to get here. We can't allow you to come in here because you're not, doesn't stop me. God says, I know the thoughts I think towards you, thoughts of good and not evil, to give you a hope and a future. So before you even said no, God already knew that you were going to say no, but he's already created a different path for me to get there. So it doesn't stop me. And God also says in the Bible that he has not given us a spirit of fear, but a spirit of a sound mind, sound heart and understanding. So at the end of the day, I don't see why I should have fear. It says be anxious for nothing. That's what it says in the Bible. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything through prayer and supplication, let your requests be made known to God. And the Spirit of God, which surpasses all understanding, shall guard your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. So I don't know no fear. The Bible tells me to fear two things: nothing and God. So fear has never been in my dictionary. It's never been in my books. Do you know what I mean? Like, fear is an illusion. It's all in your head, and the mind is a battlefield. You understand? So once you realize that, once you fill your mind with good thoughts and with God's word, and you allow yourself, it says what? If my words abide in you, you will see growth. So at the end of the day, fear, nah, I don't know no fear, bro. Not at all. A personal quote I always live by is, God's gift to you is your talent, and what you do with it is your gift back to him. And the reason why I would always live by that is because I believe I'm a vessel. I'm a vessel to express God's thoughts and God's ideas for my life. That's why every time I create, just like the way the Bible was written about ordinary human beings, but it was directed by the Holy Spirit. So every time I create a painting, I ask God that he shall allow the Holy Spirit to guide every painting that I do, that when I create, people will not see what I have created, but people will see him and glorify him. So for me, I believe that me as an artist, my ministry is the pieces I create. I create paintings in order to win souls for Christ. The paintings I create is to draw people closer to God, that they may know him even more and better. So at the end of the day, God makes me the best that I am. You know, when you hear my name, I'm not saying I've made it, I'm not saying I'm anywhere, but when you hear my name, or when my name is mentioned somewhere and it rings bells, it's all by the grace of God, because I didn't get myself here. You know, so that is one thing I'll always live by. God's gift to you is your talent, and what you do with it is your gift back to him. So as long as you're alive, you've got air in your lungs, know that you have a purpose. If you touch your heart and your heart is breathing and your heart is beating, know that God has a purpose and a plan for you. Maybe things might not be going as you planned or as you wanted it, but trust me, things will always turn around in your situation if you don't give up on God, because God won't give up on you. My name is Koby Martin, and you have just seen the wonders that's got me here.